Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Yonten, and I've been a Buddhist nun since 2003, and a regular Buddhist since maybe 1994, and so far so good.
I love the regular Buddhist. That's interesting. So I've got thank you for taking your time to do this with me. 5 quick questions. So if you could describe in 3 or 4 sentences, good luck, the essence of your spiritual tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, what would you say?
Well, I think the essence of Tibetan Buddhism is really developing positive states of mind to their utmost extent. Positive states of mind like compassion, loving kindness, wisdom, things that are beneficial and productive. We think that they can grow exponentially, that even to something outrageous like omniscience, that there's no real end to how much the mind can be developed in a positive way. And so that's one project. And then the other project is to overcome and transform negative states of mind like anger and hatred, ill will, these sorts of things that really cloud our judgment and distort our mind and kill our peace, as well as lead us to hurt ourselves and others. So we have kind of 2 projects, and the essence is, build up the positive and minimize the negative, while being very, very self-honest about the whole process and keeping your sense of humor. And we do this all for ourselves, but in order to be of greatest benefit to others. Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism in particular, a really strong area is logic. We have a huge emphasis on anything we have faith in, we have to walk through a process of experience and logic in order to arrive at faith. And that type of faith is stable and nourishing and supportive. So I think that the strength of our tradition is logic, as well as really intensive analysis and a curiosity for digging deeply into all of the reasons why we do what we do. And the love. Go down the tick list.
Yeah.
Mind your own business, mind your own business, mind your own business. No, basically everything in Buddhism boils down to, is it harming you or others? If it's harming you or others, best to refrain from it. Of course, pretty much everything we do in this world does harm others in some way, even as simple as like eating carrots. Someone had to harvest the carrots, someone had to transport the carrots, animals were killed in the transportation and harvesting, workers were maybe abused in the cultivating of it. Something so simple and so seemingly pure still will have a ripple effect of harm around it. And so what we're trying to do is minimize all forms of objectification and all forms of harm and kind of needless consumption, whether that's of people or of things or of relationships or whatever. So, something like abortion, we would say, of course, everything makes sense at the time. And anyone having an abortion, that's a horrible day for them. Regardless of their politics or their religion, that's a horrible day for them. And so we would meet someone like that with incredible compassion, incredible acceptance, and just be like, that was an impossible choice that you had to make, and you made that choice, and politically you should be able to make that choice. Maybe in the future there are other choices, kind of like that, where it's like, of course, we don't believe in killing even ants. So of course we don't believe in killing fetuses, but we would never judge anyone for that choice or think that we have a right to control someone else's body or choices. So it's like that, similar with, divorce. It's like, it's none of our business what people do in their own relationships. But if you promise something and then you break a promise, it's easier to break promises, and that makes your path harder. But it's not irreparable, and it's really not our business, what promises you've kept or broken. It's about your own internal processes. So kind of all of those social issues boil down to who's getting harmed. You know, can we bring compassion to our observation of these issues? When we're making choices around these things, are our choices coming from kindness? Like that. So in the traditional scriptures, there are sometimes kind of old-fashioned ways of describing do's and don'ts, but in the commentaries underneath, you always see that it's actually a mandate about hygiene or safety or community harmony. And if those issues are no longer relevant in this day and age, then as logic-based religious practitioners, we go, oh, okay, that's not relevant anymore. Interesting. Well, I can't really speak for my whole tradition, but it's interesting. You know, in our religion, we really do talk about being your own therapist and kind of working through your own processes with self-honesty and self-awareness and self-compassion and all of these things. But it's interesting because where these religions came from, family and community and friendship were everything. And so the need for an external kind of role or job as a counselor to exist would seem a little bit odd because you're so well connected and so well loved by your community, your family, your household, your monastery, or whatever. So in this modern world where we live more separately from each other, something like counseling makes a lot of sense, and hiring people to be a counselor makes a lot of sense because those kind of social connections don't come as easily the way we've structured our lives in the modern world. So again, it comes back to if it's of benefit, if it helps people not suffer so much, then it's probably a good thing. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think that I guess it's important that people trying to support Tibetan Buddhists know that we have a strong belief in past and future lives. We have a strong belief in karma, cause and effect, which is not punishment or reward, it's just natural consequence. So when something difficult happens in our life, we're training ourselves to see as an opportunity for growth. We're not thinking that lessons have been given to us. We're training in deciding to make things a lesson. Yeah, so we don't think there's some external force saying, and now I will give you a difficult boss so that you cultivate patience. Here you go. We don't think that way. We think, oh, I have a difficult boss. That is my opportunity to develop patience, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. Even though they don't mean to be beneficial, they are beneficial. So I'm training to see them in that way. And because of my karma, I must have been a difficult boss in my past. So if I manage this situation with kindness and patience and grace, I finish that negative karma and don't have to experience that suffering again. If I don't manage it well, I just create a pattern of more of the same in the future. Which is why even if you change jobs, you sometimes wind up having the same kind of boss, or you change relationships and it's a whole different person, but somehow it's still the same kind of person. You know, if we don't kind of change the way we view karma ripening or the way we manage it, we just go around and around in circles doing the same old thing again and again, which I think is similar to a lot of psychological ways of viewing life as well. So anyway, knowing that, you can help us better. We're trying to take problems on the path as fuel for practice with varying degrees of success. But yes. And I guess also that we try not to identify with our negative states of mind. So for example, if we have a lot of anger, we want to take responsibility for that anger and try to work on that anger, but we don't think of it as us. It's a habit that came here through countless causes and conditions. So we have responsibility for it, but we're not at fault because of it. So there's kind of a distancing, which means we can say quite aggressive things like kill the anger. And it sounds so radical unless you understand our worldview is I'm trying to cut out something just like I would try to cut out skin cancer. I wouldn't think I'm bad for having skin cancer. I would just say, oh, that could hurt me. Let's go to the doctor and freeze it off. So we think of afflictions similarly, or try to.
That's a great metaphor. That makes a lot of sense.
Especially in Australia.
Yes, definitely in Australia. Okay, that's it. That's my 5 quick questions. That's all I really.
Great.
Is there anything added you want to say to my students of psychotherapy and spirituality?
I don't know. Good luck. May the force be with you. No.
Yeah.
Look, I think if you want to use therapy and you want to use Buddhism, they are 2 excellent tools to help alleviate suffering. Sometimes they are the same in their approach and their goal, and sometimes they're not. And that's not a problem, you know? It's like if you do yoga and you do Pilates, there's some things in common about engaging your core, but they're 2 different disciplines. And if you try and mush them all together, sometimes it's elegant and it works, but usually only if you know both disciplines very well. Until you know both disciplines very well, I would work on them as separate skill sets. And then in the moment, with yourself or with your patients or clients, kind of allow your wisdom about what's relevant to this person in front of you to come forth, rather than try and, you know, blur 2 things together that sometimes aren't the same thing. For what it's worth.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time. Such deep, deep gratitude.
You're very welcome. It's lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too.